Water is a valuable resource which we need to conserve. Per capita, water use in the Okanagan Basin of British Columbia is among the highest in Canada. Climate change and population growth are expected to further pressure the region's heavily subsidized water supplies.
What is water management?
Water management is the proper allocations of water resources to society. Okanagan's population is approximately 351,000, which contributes to 10% of British Columbia's population. It may seem as though Okanagan has fewer people living here in comparison to other areas in British Columbia, but a surprising fact is that the rates of the water use in Okanagan significantly exceeds the BC and Canadian averages. The average use of water in the Okanagan is 675 liters per person per day.
Here in Kelowna, we have two primary areas where water is consumed. One is in the agricultural sector, which is handled primarily by the irrigation districts, 4 irrigation districts that are in the municipal boundary of Kelowna. And the other one is on the utility side related to urban water use, which is residential, commercial, industrial, to a certain extent irrigation with our Parks Department.
From the total water usage in the Okanagan, 55% is used by agriculture, 24% for residential, 5% for golf courses, and 2% for parks and open spaces. This means that 86% of the water used by humans is for outdoors. Okanagan residents use 14% for indoor purposes such as home and institutional buildings. Water demand for indoor and outdoor use is increasing. This can possibly exceed the amount of potential Okanagan Valley water supply.
With the growing population of Kelowna and the surrounding region, water management has become an increasing problem.
There are many barriers of water management. One main barrier is cost.
What we need to do collectively across the valley is we need to ensure that the value of water and the pricing of water is set in a way that's equitable and that everybody is actually paying what they should be paying.
There are different viewpoints regarding how water should be distributed and who should pay for what, and there are also a lot of competing priorities, and people need to ensure that water is an important one. Another barrier to water management is landscaping.
There's a perception of what is beautiful and what is not. Right now, a lot of the public expects green, lush beauty in this valley, but it's an illusion.
When producing green, luscious gardens, a lot of water is required because this is what we perceive as pretty. When talking about xeriscaping, people object to it because it is not aesthetically pleasing. Xeriscaping is a landscaping and gardening method developed especially for arid and semi-arid climates. It utilizes water-conserving techniques that reduce or eliminate the need for supplemental water from irrigation. That is why green, luscious grass is an illusion which is sustained by unsustainable practices. Education is a very important aspect when it comes to water management. However, there are barriers to it. Teaching someone can be beneficial, but it doesn't necessarily cause them to implement sustainable practices.
When you get into water consumption and people have personal values on my lawn has to be this green, my cedars have to be this green. Education doesn't really affect that. When you get into actual personal values and things that people find very important, it's a tougher nut to crack. So like Don says, that's only one component of a multifaceted approach.
Even though it is very important to teach people about water management, this will not change people's values and habits because people can be resistant to change.
So why is it important to conserve water in the Okanagan?
In the Okanagan, there is a myth of abundance regarding the availability of water in the area. In reality, Okanagan Lake has a refresh rate of 52 years. The refresh rate is the length of time it takes for the lake to completely empty and be refilled with new water. This poor refresh rate indicates that Okanagan Lake, in fact, does not receive a large amount of spring runoff and precipitation each year, and must therefore be utilized with caution when it comes to removing water from the lake. The Okanagan also relies heavily on spring snowmelt to provide water for human use. In years in which the snowpack is relatively small, the lake must account for remaining water demand.
water was given one of the top 3 sustainability issues from a community survey perspective. People in the community said water is absolutely paramount.
Conserving water results in environmental and also economic benefits. By reducing water use, you can save money on your monthly water bill and making more water available for irrigation, which may reduce food prices. The more water we conserve means the fewer expensive facilities that need to be put in place to sanitize wastewater, which lowers taxes.
How can we conserve water in Kelowna?
In urban Kelowna, conserving water requires an integrated effort in many areas. These areas are education, technology, and governance.
It's coming at us in 3 forms. One is through universal metering. Metering gives us the tool to understand how our customers are using water. So we need that tool. It's coming to us through education. We need to educate our customers to make sure that they have an understanding of opportunities and ways to reduce water use. And it's coming to us through proper pricing. Making sure that we're sending the right pricing signals so that people become aware of the value of water through cost and through those other things.
We need to educate the public about the importance of water conservation and encourage simple water reduction strategies and habits, such as shortening showers, watering lawns in the early morning or late evening, or adding organic mulch to gardens and letting grass grow longer to increase soil moisture. Technology also plays an important role in conserving water. There may be different innovations that can implement sustainable practices within households.
We'll find houses that have like 3 or 4 people living in it and a couple of bathrooms. Okay, get them a dual flush toilet. Yes, it's going to be $300 for that house, but that may be a small cost relative to some of the other ways to conserve water. The low flow shower heads are $20 a piece. So you could just, the city could spend, we got 100,000 residents, maybe 30,000 households, so $20 a piece, $2 million, and you can get everybody a free low flow shower head, and that might cut water use by 5 to 10%.
We need to implement water efficient fixtures such as low flow toilets and shower heads, efficient washing machines and sprinkler systems, as well as gray water technologies for water recycling. We need effective governance regarding water management, including proper water pricing and metering, as well as developing and enforcing bylaws that mandate efficient fixtures and sustainable water practices.
Sometimes getting people to jump into sustainable water practices is difficult.
Encouraging water sustainability is an important component of effective water management. Responsible water use can be encouraged in many ways. These include using incentives for public compliance, as well as employing water meters to track water use, and public education of appropriate water practices. Community-based social marketing involves giving incentives to people to encourage them to try new things. In this case, that can be giving or installing water-saving devices to reduce their water consumption. Charging people for their water use, which discourages overuse by those who are financially conscious, uses water meters to promote sustainability.
Finding incentives that work is still going from my assumptions as an economist that people do respond to incentives. It's figuring out what the appropriate incentives are. Now, price is an incentive economists often talk about, but clearly people respond to a lot of things other than price. And so the question is finding out what people do respond to.
A concept known as community-based social marketing. It's a little separate than what you would call traditional advertising. Traditional advertising might be, here's an ad for product, 50% off, whatever. But community-based social marketing is more of using incentives to get people to try things.
As highlighted by our experts, public education paired with incentives is the most effective way to encourage behavior change within the public. Public education involves pamphlets, commercials, education in schools, radio announcements, and similar practices. However, this type of public education has limited success when it comes to water conservation. In most cases, the public already knows how to conserve water. The goal is to motivate them to act on what they already know and how to do, hence using incentives to reinforce what has already been learned. Often it is that public is resistant and unwilling to modify their behaviors. However, if those in question do care about the environment, they will change their behavior provided it doesn't cost anything extra.
When it comes to spending money, the attitudes don't seem to matter much. So it's like, if you care about the environment, you will change your behavior, provided it doesn't cost you anything.
So here we are standing along Lake Okanagan, and as you can see, water is not only essential in Kelowna for survival, such as drinking water, but also supports recreation, skiing, houseboats, as you can see behind us, and various other aspects in Kelowna.
Conserving water is not only important in the Okanagan, but in all other areas. If we all do our part to reduce our water use, we can ensure water sustainability for future generations.
Is water conservation important to you? Because I love it!